No smack
Oh, come
zone.
on.
Recording on the computer. All right, guys. I ain't telling y'all the topic on purpose because I want to see. I want an authentic conversation
Lord.
about this. It's not
Okay.
really. I mean, we already talked about.
No, hit me, bet. Hit me. That's
I-
good. Let's go.
Okay. All right, ready? Swallow, nigga.
Shut up, man. If I choke slam you.
Hey, the hair looking nice, bro. You look like Buddy from what was it?
Where?
The Goofy movie, Powerline. That nigga look just like Powerline.
The perfect catch, huh?
All right, right. All right, y'all ready to roll?
Yeah.
So funny.
All right. Hey, yo, it's your boy Sam Duke.
It's your man, Tell McKell.
And I'm Joe Duke.
And you're listening to another episode of You Good?
You good, bro?
You good, bruh?
Hey, man. Welcome to another good show. I am happy to be here. I'm happy to see you, brothers. How y'all doing?
So happy to be here.
Yeah, blessed to be here.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
exactly, man. It's this year we're wrapping up. We're getting close to the end of the year. Now, you know, we just counting our blessings and thinking about what next year gonna look like, right?
Shit.
Or still trying to figure out what this shit gonna look like.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happening right now.
Bruh, it's November, bruh. It's December at this point.
Right, December.
At this point, we just still in shock.
All the way through.
We're still in shock.
We're still in shock, nigga.
This shit is surreal. Like, I
Crazy,
don't
man.
know. I don't
Okay,
know.
With
Every
everything,
day, new things.
exactly, man.
You know, I'm gonna tell you what it's like.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you what it's like. It's like, you ever been in a relationship that was so bad that you ain't ready for the next relationship, and even when you do, you kind of
Is
nervous.
it?
Like that's what this shit feel like. It's like,
Yeah,
man,
like-
I don't want to go through that shit no more.
Yeah, man. Like
I don't know if I want to be in another relationship.
we're guarded like a motherfucker right now.
I just stay in 2020. I know how bad this shit is. Like,
we don't know what it could get worse. It could get crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, relationships. We're not really talking relationships today, but well, we are talking about relationships aren't only romantic. So we're gonna start talking about what we talked about. We texted about this earlier, right?
Okay.
About Smokey Norful, the gospel singer. He posted a picture over Thanksgiving weekend of him and his son. Him and his son, basically, he's holding his son on the couch. Son is 16 years old. And basically, well, let me just read what he said. He's like, by far, it was his favorite moment of the day. His 16-year-old baby boy, who's his height, climbed into his arms and went sound asleep like he was 16 months old. He didn't want it to end. Never do they want. He was like, never do they want to be my little babies anymore. But you know, at this point, it seemed like he couldn't help it, and that's what he wanted when he was there. And so what ended up happening, of course, this picture kind of went all over.
What ended up happening?
Yeah, what ended up happening is, of course, he put the picture out on social media, and people have opinions. You know, people have opinions on the expression of love that him and his son shared during Thanksgiving. And basically, you know, they don't like the idea that this 16-year-old young man or young boy is cuddling. That's what they call it. He's cuddling with his son. And there's a lot. We're in the Black Fathers group, Mikhail. They posted in the Black Fathers group, and you know, you had men that were like, you know what, there's no big deal here. You know, not just that, it's like, men look at their daughters that way, like they are always gonna be their little babies, but then when it comes to their sons, it's like, you know, whatever. You know,
Fend for yourself,
exactly. And I mean, there's some men that were commenting saying, oh, you know, the world is tough. I'm not preparing my son for the world if I'm cuddling with him on the couch.
Yes.
And you know,
that's crazy.
I mean, I can tell y'all my opinion. My opinion is that I feel like I don't see, when I saw the picture, all I was thinking about was like, yeah, I'm gonna have my daughters, they're gonna be 16, 17, 18. It don't really fucking matter.
Right.
You know, they can always come sit on daddy's lap, they can always come, you know, cuddle up next to me. They can always find comfort wherever I'm at, period. Right. And that's just the way I view it, the way I see it. But you know, it was more for me. It was kind of disheartening that people saw it that way. I think that was the issues I had with it, because it's like, you know, they were looking at it like, no man, that's making him soft, and it's like, look, a nigga can cuddle up with his daddy and shoot your ass and kill you and beat you. I'm just being honest with you, bro. Like
at the same time,
like
that's true.
I'll hug you.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'll shoot your ass.
Yeah, it's like it. I mean, it's just this. I think it's. I'm sick of this idea that manhood is one kind of way. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, it's like because I've been taught the guy that acts the toughest is always the one that ain't really as tough as he. Tough. Yeah, it is. He talked the one that acts tough, and it's like they're not usually that.
They're the most insecure.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think that still rings true in this instance. Like it, for number one, for me to have an opinion about how a family expresses themselves emotionally, and I'm not part of that family, I'm crossing the line even having that kind of opinion about it, to be honest with you, other than, you know, good for y'all.
Crazy.
If you like it, I love it. You know what I mean? There's no harm, no foul. The child seems to be comfortable with his father, which is a great testament, especially at the age of 16, when I'm not saying that kid doesn't have rebellious moments, but he's still his kid.
Bro, I mean, I just saw it. It seemed beautiful to me.
I saw what you saw.
Yeah,
I saw what you saw. I got a son and a daughter, and I don't reject either one of them when they want to give me a hug. Not one. Yeah. Like, I don't say, oh, no, son, you need to bow up tough. Now, I talk that shit to him when he want to whine, but I talk that shit to her when she want to whine. So I don't really.
Yeah, there's not really.
My concept of toughening up is not based on gender. You know what I mean? How you going to ill prepare your daughter for a tough world, but then turn around and prepare your son, or you think you preparing your son? That's to me. You say
that's crazy thing.
I find it.
You think you prepare your son for the real world?
Yeah, you're not.
Yeah. And I think that speaks to the bigger conversation of because when I looked at it, I was just like, when I'm listening to the comments, I'm seeing people talk. I'm like, these people don't even understand what love is. Mm-mm. Like, and
they're not comfortable with it. That's what I meant by.
They don't get it.
Well, that's what I meant by insecurity.
Yeah.
You know, they what they saw, people tend to project themselves on it, right? So, you know, they always say, oh, the dude that got the most comments about homosexuality in a negative tense may be suspect. It's because that person, because they see something and they're not comfortable with what they see because they project themselves. And what I hear, you say you were disheartened, and honestly, it just broke my heart. Like, that many people don't know what love looks like, or feel, or should feel like. Like, we've literally separated ourselves from the concept of loving on each other. Like, I remember my mom was passing away. My sister and I, we tried to get into the hospital bed with her. I laid in the bed with my mom before, and I'm grown as hell.
I mean,
and it felt like my mama holding me. Like,
think about it, right?
You know what I mean? So I think it's like I said, it's a testimony to how what love looked like in their house, or what some of us would see as absence of love. But ultimately, people do the best that they know how to do. And what I hear is people that have never been taught how to love in a healthy way. And
I think that's literally the issue is that, and like I've been really doing a lot of just deep diving during the year, kind of reading, researching. By the way, I want to recommend a book to both of you guys, if you know, whenever y'all have time to read, All About Love by Bell Hooks. All About Love. When I tell you, bro, like, this book, I mean, you know, sometimes you read some shit and it just shake you up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, I mean, I ain't even finished with it yet, but like, from the first couple pages, when she's just talking about, you know, I knew love was important because I had the absence of it. It wasn't there, right? And and she's just talking about like this generation and how cynical that we've been about love. And I'm gonna give you guys a quote real quick from the book. I want to see what y'all think about it. Here's a piece of it. She says, I am afraid that we may be raising a generation of young people who will grow up afraid to love, afraid to give themselves completely to another person, because they will have seen how much it hurts to take the risk of loving and having and have it not work out. I'm afraid that they will grow up looking for intimacy without risk, for pleasure without significant emotional investment.
That's some real stuff she just said. That's some real stuff.
Yeah, I can't. I heard no lies. Like,
I mean, I read that. I mean, I'm just telling you, bro. I was reading that. I was like, oh man, like this is crazy. But it's like when you haven't had it, or you know, or you're lacking, or you want it, or whatever the case may be, it's like you looking at it like it. Oh, you know what? Since nobody loved me as a kid, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying?
But I will say this. My observation of these generations, and I mean, this is basic, like, interaction. Either I see it on social media, I see it in the music video. I hear, how big a music head I am. I'm listening to the lyrics. Believe it or not, I'm listening to the lyrics of the song, even though the shit is just kind of explicit. But what I hear is a generation of, I'll be on, romantics, right? They want that type of love affair. They don't believe it exists.
It exists. Like it'll
so
be there.
Yeah, like so when you look at the words in the songs, they're putting out information that they think will attract that which they want, and that means that they really don't know what it is. They want it. We know we want it. We just don't know what it is. It's kind of like that. You ever seen a kid eat a smash cake?
Yeah.
And first time they put that sugary ass icing and watch their eyes.
Yeah, it look like it's getting hooked.
Right. Like they know it's food.
Yeah, they know
I
it's
want
something.
it, but they just don't know what it is until they taste it. And I think that's what we're observing from our generation as we're looking back. And honestly, I don't feel like we gave them a good example of what love is. I mean, when I came up, it was about getting money. Like, love was a result of getting money. I could get love. You know what I mean? So that was just because stability was a big concept in our come up. Like, we were the generations that came after civil rights. We should be doing better than the previous generations. What are y'all doing? 30 things you should have by the age of 30, so on and so forth, type of generation. And then the generation that comes right behind it, they're getting feedback off of what we're doing. And they're like, well, yeah, I know we're supposed to get money, but I don't want to wear a suit and a tie. I don't want to have to do that. Like, people started putting their own spin to it.
Yeah.
Well, that applied to love too. There was a generation where that was before me, where I remember Charlie Murphy talked about it on Chappelle's show. He's talking about how the man that looked more like a chick get most of the women.
That makes sense.
They had this androgynous era before me, and then we kind of cycle back to that. So some of the young guys I see now, I'm not saying they look like chicks, but the things that women wore when I was coming up, tighter clothes, had be common themed with them. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you start to see the rebirth. And I think that there's going to be a rebirth of love, about love, at some point. I hope.
Man,
but right now,
that's my prayer too, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that to piggyback off what you're saying, like, what I feel like when you bring up the music, right? I think right now, when we think about how people feel about certain things, like, if we could do like a survey of the people who left objective comment under the picture of the dude and his son, I would like to know what they've been consuming. You know what I mean? And I would like to know, like,
I can tell you what they've been consuming based on the responses.
Well, I mean, I think they've been consuming just this idea that to show men love, it got to be the tough kind. You know what I'm saying? It's like the idea, like the only way.
Yeah, I don't think
like,
it's the music. I think it's Minjo have texted back and forth about this. Like to me, music is music imitates life. And the reason why I'm comfortable with saying that is because before hip hop was hip hop, the same message that I saw under that post, I heard in my lifetime. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's some things, common themes. To me, when I read comments like that, and maybe it's kind of bourgeoisie of me to say it, but I see that as a backwards thinking, as a uneducated, or as Sam said, or Sam and I discussed last time, uneducated meaning ignorant. That was an ignorant comment because you're not aware of what healthy parental child love should look like. Like for you to sit there and see a 16-year-old son hug his father. I mean, if his father was dying right then, it would have been okay. It's okay to hug your dad, he's dying.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, like that's when it's okay to express yourself emotionally. And that's unhealthy. And I heard that shit when I was coming up, whether it be football, band, or whatever. Like in the South, that's just, you know.
And I think I remember talking to you, Mikhail, probably it was some years back. I don't even think you even remember this, having this conversation. But I remember talking about how you were telling me about how you told your son, like, I think he fell or something, and you told him, like, cry. Like, I see it. Like, go ahead and cry.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's like, bro, go ahead and cry. And I think that you know, growing up, especially the way we kind of grew up, it's like, you know, everybody try to toughen you up when you ain't got a dad. So it's like, you fall, it's like, nah, you can't cry because you don't want to be that boy that ain't, you know, the tough guy. But I think we're taught to lie about emotions very early. You know, we taught to like suppress everything. Yeah, and then what happens is we become these men demons. Like that's what I think of. They become men demons. Like literally, because you read this comment, and there's like literally there's one guy in the comments saying, "Hey, look, you know, yeah, he may be a little older, but that's his child. You know, it is what it is." And the comment, but right below is a man demon saying, "You must be cuddling with your daddy right now." And it's like, what the fuck?
Those comments.
It's like, what the fuck made you try this man to this degree?
All right, somebody you don't fucking know.
Yeah, you don't fucking know him, and for you to say that just shows your absence of love in your life.
So I'm gonna say something that I found in the men community that is taboo. That sounds like toxic manhood. What is it?
Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
But I wouldn't even, bro. That's literally almost inhuman, in my opinion. Like,
I don't disagree, but that's what makes it toxic.
I wouldn't even. But I hate.
Let me say it this way. To me, my definition of toxic masculinity is a human being, obviously in this instance, depicting manhood in a way that is destructive and doesn't build up society. So that's what I'm saying. Like that man literally came in to destroy that person as a man. He tried to marginalize him as a man, marginalize his opinion, marginalize him as a father, because this is the fatherhood group, marginalize him as a father, potentially a husband to his wife or whoever. Like that's destruction. And that's what toxic masculinity is to me. It's like where I destroy anything around me in the spirit that I'm a man, when really you're just being a child that's old,
immature, and haven't been taught love. Like what you're saying, like people are being taught the exact opposite of love. It's like hate is thriving more than love. You look at a negative comment, right? You look at a negative comment or a negative picture, like let's reverse it. You look at a negative picture and then you look at the comments below, and it's like everyone agree with the negativity. Like say a funny video, but it really wasn't funny. Someone got hurt, right? You rarely see someone underneath the comment and say, dang, that person got hurt. I hope they're okay. You rarely see that. Majority of the time, you're gonna see everybody on the same.
Yeah, some kind of meme.
They can't wait.
Laugh. It's like they couldn't wait. It's like I feel like there's a growth of negativity. Like what you were saying back in your days, it was still the same thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like now is a larger crowd now. The population.
I don't know if it's large. I agree with you, Joe. I think what it is like what Will Smith said. He didn't think racism is more. I think it's just everybody got camera phones now.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's now everybody can like or put a different funny face or heart or some shit under some toxic shit. And for my barometer on whether it's toxic or not is, say that was Smokey Norful's wife and the 16-year-old daughter. What would the responses have been?
It wouldn't have been nothing like that.
It wouldn't have been nothing.
It would have been nothing like that. It wouldn't have been a response at all. It may not even gotten.
It would have got some likes. That's it. Yeah. People would have moved on.
Likes, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it toxic masculinity to me. Like the only reason you have something to say is because he's doing something that you associate with a woman and you think that that's beneath a man. You dig what I'm saying? Like that. Why is a woman beneath what a man should be?
Well, I mean,
like that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even make biological sense.
If you think about it, that's a societal thing, right?
It's toxic.
I mean, because even in the way that people view love, like I think when I talk to certain men, not all men, but certain men, and you talk about what position you should play in the household. It's like you hear men, the head of the household. You know what I'm saying? I am the chief of the castle. And it's just like, bro, but unfortunately, this is the best way I can put it. I'm not gonna say that there's not love in that, but they never lead with the love. It's like it's a control, right? It's like a wheel.
That shit is no, come on, get real. That shit is a lie.
It is, bro. It is.
It ain't true.
Goddamn well. Ain't none of this. We ain't running none of this shit.
Bruh, you not.
I literally, I heard. I'm laughing because I literally heard a Chris Rock joke last night about men thinking they the head of the household. Literally, bro.
Really?
Like, I swear to God. And he was like, "Do this. Try to hang a picture of your mother anywhere in the house and watch what happens."
That's hilarious.
And he was like, "That picture, so number one, that picture will disappear.
That's hilarious.
You'll never see that picture again.
Or go somewhere else.
And then you'd be like, well, what happened to the picture? Yo, and your wife would be like, I didn't like the frame. Where's the fucking picture? Like, that's what I'm saying.
It's like, in the bathroom.
Hey, man. It's not our house. We ain't running shit. The only thing, to me, and this is my reality. I'm not saying that this is what I prefer.
Yeah.
It's just what I've accepted as a reality so I can stop with the internal conflict.
Yeah.
Is that my job is to be a cornerstone, which is basically a beacon or the brunt force of the building. That's my family. So anything that comes towards my family has to hit me first.
Yeah.
And I take that on because of size and girth or whatever you want to call it, physically, and then mentally because I've been trained, back to the original point about smoking them, been trained to be emotionally sound, meaning even when horrible things happen, I don't fall apart. And I could argue, honestly, had I've been in the position that I'm in right now and had never become a therapist and never matured emotionally, I would not, I don't think I would be a good cornerstone.
I mean, that stuff is necessary. It's necessary for you to grow.
Well, you got to have some balance emotionally to be like, one of the things that I used to love about my step grandfather, Papa Ray, was that Papa Ray was a man's man. He looked like the founders. But he said we don't talk about it.
Yeah, I know.
So he was a man. He was a veteran. He had fought in World War II. He took advantage of the GI Bill to buy property in New York, and he had these smoking pipes. And even though he loved me like a grandson. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I didn't even know he wasn't my grandfather. Like, you a kid, you just had two granddaddies. Oh, I got three granddaddies. And I just happened to have two living. And so it was just, I never disconnected that. And he would talk to me. He would hug me. He would talk to my sister. He would talk to my cousins. He loved on us the same. Papa Ray didn't share too many opinions. You never saw him say cross things to my grandmother, which was the complete opposite of my real grandfather. My actual grandfather.
Yeah.
And so I had him as an example. You know what I'm saying? And then I had my blood grandfather. And like I said, as a kid, I never connected that my grandmother was connected, you know, both of them. I just saw them as granny.
Yeah.
And my actual grandfather was a street kind of dude. I mean, he ran a shot house, you know what I mean? Like he ran moonshine. So you had this other black gentleman and then this black gentleman. And so I had to compare the two. And if I had to choose which one seemed to be a little bit more in line to who I am today, I would say Papa Ray.
Yeah. And
of course.
And what's interesting, because like I told you,
my granddaddy will hug you, but he'll shoot you.
I'm sorry, I had to throw that
in. Hey man, look, it is what it is. Yeah. Within this book, it kind of addresses it a little bit. It basically talks about how patriarchy, I guess a patriarchal type of masculinity requires boys to maintain their controlling position. And anybody knows, like when you're in a relationship and when you hear I'm the head of the household, I got to, you know, control the situation. What happens when you asking for control is that you're not willing to relinquish it. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you'll trade love if you have to, in order to continue to keep, or the amount of love that you could give or interact or receive, whatever the case may be, in order to get that control. So here's a quote.
I'm gonna say, give me an example of
it. Here's a quote. It's like, many people believe that men can dominate women and children and still be loving. And basically, you know, it's a psychoanalysis. I don't know who this guy is, but his name's Carl Jung. He said, he said, you know him? You know of him?
Yeah.
Oh, you know you in that realm, man. He says, where there was a will to power, where the will to power is paramount, love will be lacking. And literally, I think that's the grips that we have to come to. Like literally, you have to figure out, like, yes, we can lead in certain ways. Yes, we can, but it's like, I think that men have to get back to understand that love piece of it is very important, you know, because I feel like we fucking up our kids. We've been fucked up. We've been fucked up.
Here's the quote you referenced, Carl Jung.
Yeah,
and he's I think he was a psychotherapist. Was his professional trade. He was a medical doctor.
Yeah,
but of course they practice psychiatry, and he's I guess you could call him the father of analytical psychoanalysis. Okay. So he's like,
he big shit.
He's a major piece of it. No, most people talk about Freud, but
I've heard
if
that.
If you want to look at what would be considered modern psychology, it's called Jung, and so, and I'm cautious in saying this, but at the same time, you know, we got to keep it real on the show.
Yeah,
he's white, and white, like I think he's Swiss or something like that. Like he's removed from the culture that we traditionally come from, and I really believe in behavior in your genetics being passed down. Some things resonate with us. Yeah. That just does, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's part of that connection that we have globally. And in their society, you know, their relationship to their parents are completely different than what I remember from mine and the people that I grew up with. Like I
explain that.
Yeah.
Well, I can explain to you right now. Ain't no cussing around my parents, let alone in a conversation with them or at them. Like that shit is just not gonna wash, homie. Yeah. Like if you want to see somebody be loving, cuss in a black family, you're gonna catch a ass whooping. Like it's not.
That's true. I mean, they still treat you like, you know, it's like literally there's a certain level of the way they're just gonna operate.
Right.
It doesn't really matter how old you get. They're gonna rein your ass in.
Right.
If you have to.
Right. Deference is a major component of our culture.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that when you look at behavior or behaviorist, if you're gonna psychoanalyze and say that a father cannot love and still dominate, is a belief system that I think is born out of a different culture. I don't know that that's something that we could I don't know if that's something that we can test today.
Well, let's talk about our culture. Do you feel as if our fathers are able to dominate in love? Because I just don't feel like I don't feel like they live together.
Yeah, let's say this. I don't think so. I'll use my personal experience, and then I'll look at some of my clients just as a reference point. Our issue is not that we can't dominate and be loving. Our issue is that we don't know how to do both. So it's not a matter of capacity. It's a matter of ignorance or ability. Like, it's kind of like, I can run fast, but can I lift weights? Well, sure, you could do both, but you got to train both.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? And I don't feel like that's something that we have been trained in the last 30 years. In the last 30 years, our community has been wrought with, you know, the war on drugs, addiction, poverty, the stress that comes with that, the stress that comes with, you know, the concept of another black man killing you over your shoes. That whole lifestyle has kind of impeded. Like, if you look at the pyramid of needs, love is higher up than, say, food, water, shelter. So if you can't get past, you know, food, water, and shelter, you're not gonna feel safe enough to get to love. That's what I'm getting at. So if we look at psychology from that perspective, how can we get to love when we haven't gotten the basics in place?
I get what you're saying. What you're saying is black men never really been in a dominant position in order to be able to
a stable position. I think that.
Got you.
I think we dominate anytime we can be in a stable position. And I mean, I hate to use it as a reference, but the areas that we are kind of like given a little bit of latitude in is anything music, anything sports, anything like that. Whenever we've been given ability to be who we are 100%, we excel in it. Now I'm using the reference of entertainment because that's a common topic to our audience. Obviously, I can go into science. I can go into mathematicians. I can go in any path we want to, but just for the larger conversation, most people can point to and reference the people that we have had success in business that's related to entertainment and sports. Whenever we've been given room to excel, we do. But just as a general rule, like I said, when you go through the hierarchy of needs, we haven't been able to get off the first two levels, really.
So you think lack of stability causes us not to be able to love properly? Basically,
I mean, so I'm gonna pull this up and just read it off GP. Hold on. So there are 5 levels to the pyramid of needs, Maslow's pyramid of needs. The first one is the physiological needs. That's food, water, warmth, rest. Those are basic needs. Then we have safety needs, security and safety. After you get to that, belongingness and love comes up. That means intimate relationships and friends. After you've established one of those, then you go to esteem needs, which is prestige, feeling of accomplishment, that i.e. I'm the head of the household, but it's false because you ain't feeling safe. And then the top one, which rarely anybody gets to, is called self-actualization. That's somebody's full potential. And just as a reference point, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Gandhi, those are people that are referenced, men that are referenced. I would say even Rosa Parks. I mean, not Rosa Parks, but King's wife. Oh my God. I did it again.
Coretta Scott.
Coretta Scott King. I did it again. Brainwashed.
I know, right?
But what I was talking about, so the basic bottom 2 levels, safety and physiological needs. 37% of our population is impoverished. 37%. Hold on.
I think
that's a lot
too plays a role too. Like the
well,
idea, idea of what we feel like the idea of what we feel like we need. Like, say for example, like you just mentioned Pavlov. What is it called?
Maslow's
pyramid.
Maslow's the hierarchy of needs.
So you have food, water, shelter, and then
security and
a couple of other things. Insecurity and safety. With food and water and shelter, when we say for example in the neighborhoods, like in reality right now, you go into these neighborhoods, you see these some of these neighborhoods, they're on Section 8 or whatnot. They get food stamps. And as far as like the stability that they have, it's kind of stable, even though it's in the ghettos.
Nah,
right?
so
but
that's
for
what I'm
some odd reason.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like you're talking about the baseline, the bottom. We tend to establish that. It's shaky at best because the government. We just shown that the government can change their minds at any given moment.
Yeah, at any point.
Right. So that's not stable at all. But to your point, that basic need has been met. The next level up is safety. Do you feel secure? Do you feel like you're safe? Do you feel like somebody's gonna take your stuff? Do you feel like somebody's gonna kill you? You know, that part. The next level, you have to establish these things before you even get to the next level to be even functional at the next level. The next level is then love. That's intimate relationships and friendship. So if you haven't really established the first two levels, you're not going to be good at the third one.
I think that makes sense. I mean, when you think about the issues that we have in our community, you wonder why we kill each other. Is the way we kill each other is like there's some needs not being met, right?
They're not being met.
And there ain't no way we can love each other when those needs aren't being met. People, right. When you're hungry, that life next door don't seem as real.
But we musical people, so the music imitates the life.
Yeah, to a degree, I believe.
And I feel like that there are people that take advantage of that and exploit that, and then that'll be the only message that comes out.
Yeah.
But that's independent of it, because when you really look at Black music, we're not talking about one type of music. First of all, we do all music.
We do, yeah.
And we do all music well when we want to do it. Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, it's wild to me because I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, you know, because I'm very eclectic. I listen to all kinds of music. Mm-hmm. And it bothers me that, like, and it's not to say that it's not out here with the with Black people, but it bothers me that when you listen to white genres, it's so much about love. It's like I mean, it's like entrenched in love. I'm give you an example. Country music. I'm gonna give a shout out to Brett Young. Like, he makes some of the best fucking country music. And when you listen to country music, it's all about, like, in case you didn't know, I'm crazy about you. I'd be lying if I said I couldn't live my life without you. Like, you listen to those words and you just like, damn, this shit make me feel good. Like, you play it even if you don't like country music. If you like to feel good, play that shit.
Right.
You'll feel good. And I think that we make that music, but inside, we've talked about this before, like, inside of my heart, like, when the ratchet shit comes on, I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, I'd have to think to play some, like, loving Black music. Like, I'd be trying to, when it comes on, sometimes I feel good, but I have to, like, literally be like, I want to listen to something, not what the white person's singing, but some shit.
They sing ratchet shit.
No, they do, but
they sing it more than we do.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But, like, what I'm saying is, like,
that's what the data shows.
Even that's true. But what I'm saying, even our R&B singers, most of them are just talking about fucking.
That's because that's what the market. So I'm gonna tell you, that's a whole different conversation.
Yes, it is.
The fact that we have blended features in genre to where it's just the norm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Drake, Chris Brown. For the record, I was gonna tweet this earlier, and I was just thinking about this. For some reason, Chris Brown and Chris Brown records, SZA records, and Drake records sound so much better in California than they do anywhere else I've been. I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's the weed.
I ain't smoking that.
Why does that make sense?
I'm gonna tell you something. I think it's the Cali vibe.
It's the vibe, yeah.
It's the vibe.
Cali does have a vibe.
Right. And so when them songs come on, they hit different. I don't know what else it's called, but I was thinking that today when I was listening to a Drake record, when I was, doing my thing out here in these streets. And I was just like, man, I remember when this song came on when we was in Long Beach. And now it just don't feel the same.
It's probably because it was made there. So it has
the energy.
It's the energy there. Like just like strip club music is made in the South. You feel a certain way. Certain shit that's made here, you feel it here a little
more
different.
than you would. Yeah, Two Live Crew don't sound the same in New York like it did.
Nah, like I used to listen to like music from Atlanta and Portland. And it's just like, nah, it's like only 1.1% black people here.
It don't fit.
It don't feel. It doesn't feel right.
But so to circle back around though, Brett, like Brett can write those songs. Brett Young can write those types of songs because he has the first two things covered on the list. He gonna eat. He feels safe because the police are there to protect him and serve him. They're not here to protect and serve us. Data is starting to show that.
Yeah.
So the belongingness and love needs are things that you could really express. I think the true human experience is that we go up and down this list of needs, whether we're ready for it or not. And that's what causes the conflicts in our lives. Like we end up having a love relationship when we're not really ready in a position to provide for it. So, you know what I mean? We're not stable enough that we actually can feed kids. We don't really have safety enough that we can not be anxious and really be present. And I got to train my son to be hard because these streets is crazy and I can't have no soft son.
Or the streets were hard to me. The streets were hard to me, And so it's like, I can't just, and I think that was a point that the Buddy was trying to hammer home. Is like, I can't, in a way, even though I don't agree with it, in a way, his way of saying is like, me preparing him is me loving him enough not to just allow him to think that this is what it's going to be. Now, I think you can compartmentalize. Everybody has a safe house, even fucking gangsters, drug dealers, hell, even prisoners, they all have
a safe space.
They have a safe space. And I think that's when it's out of pocket. It's like literally homeboy was sitting at his daddy's house during a family holiday that, during
probably took him back to when he was a little kid.
Made him that. Exactly. It's like, so it's like, I think that's where it was off base. Cause I do believe that you should prepare your love preparation is a part of love. Making sure that your kids are prepared is a part of love. However,
but Sam, I'm telling you, that's what my issue with us is that you were thoughtful enough to think through it. Instead of just reacting to a picture, you gave this man a whole life experience. You didn't just say, look at that Joker, opinion. Like it sometimes it really is hard for me to accept that people can't think outside of themselves sometimes enough to see a bigger picture, or at least let somebody be human. Like we don't know what had just happened. His son may have just told him about something terrible. He could have lost a friend, needed a hug, and just cried and went to sleep in his dad's arms. And his dad was like, "I miss this," where my son could be that, comfortable with me and just be my baby. You know what I mean? Like we don't know the history, but yet we apply. We don't know the context of the history, but yet we just gonna apply thought to it, or lack of thought, and just be reactive
and just jump on.
And just jump on them instead of just, where's the grace that you could give somebody? You know what I'm saying? What is that about? Like, why is it that we're just that toxic as a world that we can't allow human beings to be human? How come we can't let people make mistakes?
Well, I mean, since we talk,
or just let people live,
And I would take your question even a step further, because you're saying people, and I want to speak specifically to men, the way that men love on each other. You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but there's some women that feel that way too.
No, I agree. I agree, but
they carry the message. So
I know, but what I'm saying is the women feel that way, but what I'm saying is we're talking about a boy and his daddy, and men being able, like I put this on Facebook the other day. You know, I like to tell my homeboys I love them when I get off the phone with them. I don't have a problem doing that.
Right.
But I had homeboys like, yeah, I can't do that. And I'm just like, what
does that mean?
Yeah, like for me it's just like, nah, I don't like, for me it just makes sense. I got to a point where, you know, you see people, I've had friends that are dead, 27, 24, 25, and it's just like, nah, I'm not gonna stand up at your funeral, because if you've done that before, you know what it feels like, and be like, you know what, I really loved you as my boy. I loved you as my homeboy. And I probably had never said that to you while you were here.
Right.
You know, and so I just, and I do feel like there are women that feel as if it's not manly or macho or even being real for a man to say, or may even some people may feel like
none of their goddamn business.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I agree. I agree. But what I'm saying is, I just think that at some point we have to figure out, like, how do we at least love on each other so that we know that, you know, like, hey, Mikhail, you know that I love you. Joe, you know that I love you as my brother and as my friend. It's like, to me, it just doesn't.
So you just said how to answer the question about how can we be dominating and loving. You saying how, like, regardless of what people think, we still do it.
Yeah.
Like, you could be. I've never believed in dominating others. I've only believed in being, I don't want to say domineering. Dare I say that?
I don't know what that means.
Domineering is kind of like to me, it means you have a presence in the room. Like, when you walk in the room, motherfuckers know you in there. Okay. Like, you just, like, you can't be dismissed. Domineering spirit. Like, yeah. And it's like, so if I'm saying, you know, Joe, I love you. Sam, I love you. Anybody got a problem with that? Fuck you.
I guess that's the way. Yeah,
that's the way people gotta act. Like, if the dude would have put it under the comment, "I love my son, fuck y'all," and what y'all think, people will receive it differently. It's like, you gotta stand firm on what you believe in,
and that's dominating.
Yeah. And I think that probably has something to do with it. So don't let people knock you off your square when you're just trying to be a loving fucking man. Like, at the end of the day, love is a part of who we are. Like, love is a part of what we're doing on this planet. You know what I'm saying? And to allow society's way of just thinking about it. I mean, it's to allow society's fucked upness to really penetrate
and filter into
into who you actually are and how you actually feel as a man.
And let's be honest, it's 2020. Everybody's experiencing the same thing, and for people to still look at that like, wow, you shouldn't. That's wild.
That's wild.
At a time like this,
with the way people dropping left and right,
time like this,
yeah, that's crazy. That's just how crazy. That's how crazy we are.
It goes to show you how crazy we are.
And they want our black asses to think like that. They want us to walk around tough like that right now,
right?
At a time like this.
This year, I mean, this year is enough to break any man.
I was just about to say, it ain't tough if it's gonna break you.
Yeah, like
it's standard. Like, for example, Sam, you not played football before.
Yes.
I don't. Joe, did you play football? I never.
Yeah, Joe played. All
right, so we've all played football before, and we all know how. Number one, you can't tackle like you a brick wall. You have to be flexible. You have to. You know what I mean? Like but you still strong. You know what I mean? But you fold, you wrap and you fold into the fall. You don't just fall like a brick.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, some forces you can't go against.
Yeah.
But you still can be strong in. And that's what I'm saying. Life is that force. We can still be strong in it. But don't sit there and put yourself in a position to where life can break you. And before long, you drinking yourself to death. You potentially may actually take your own life in a quicker manner than just drinking and drugging. I mean, you could end up finding yourself in the arms of too many women and your ass end up with some shit that could kill you. You know what I mean? Like the behaviors that come out of being toxic match the toxicity. And that's why I said, yeah, I could probably tell you what kind of music they listening to.
Yeah.
I can probably tell you what they club life is like, they social life is like. You know what I mean? Like, because they are so immersed in that toxic way of thinking that any person that they come upon is somebody that they can attack. Like, old boy attacked the dude in the post, or what he thought was an attack. Because to me, I would be like, yeah, I'm actually about to go hug my dad right now.
Yeah.
So at least I got one, bitch.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like,
you're so stupid.
Ooh, that's that heat. That's that fire.
That's not my mouth. That's the mouth I used to have. So what I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying. I could be that. That's what I'm saying. I'm. That's still a part of me, but I've elevated myself. I want better for myself. I focused on working that toxic shit out because I didn't want to pass that down to my kids. You know what I mean? There has to be a way to stop these generational curses. And we had to be on purpose. It had to be intentional about that.
Yeah, we have to be intentional. We have to actually fucking do something different, man.
Right.
Like we can't. And you know, you hear people talk about OGs, and you hear people talk, and it's not to say that OGs don't have any value. You know what I'm saying? Because they do. You know,
right. for the economy that
they're
in,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. They have a value, but at the same time, bro, like literally, we can't get to the point where we're debilitating ourselves for things that we see that we need, and you're seeing, like, when you're just saying your men will find themselves ending their lives quicker than they, you know, or ending their lives.
They need to,
then they need to, and you realize, and it's funny because you have these posts that I see online where they say women make fun of guys that say, you know, go ahead, walk out of my life like everybody else walked out of my life, and it's funny because, you know, of course, they're making fun of the fact that a lot of men have not been loved, and when they're in situations they fuck up, whatever have you.
Right.
That's usually what they're saying. They mean what they said. They mean that people have walked out on them. They mean that, you know, that, but really they're showing you there's a lack of love, and they've had a lack of love, and because of that, of course, I'm not saying that the women shouldn't walk out, because there may be a legitimate reason they're getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the fact that it's a joke is funny. It's not funny, but it's the fact that it's a joke has gotten to the point where it's so pervasive in the way that men are, in the way that men have interacted with women, that they can put it out there and everybody knows what they talking about.
Right.
Goes to show you that we just not loved on enough.
Well, it goes to show you that some women don't know how to value themselves, like, which is a different topic altogether.
Yes.
You know, what's funny though, I was on the road today and I heard this new song by Usher that says, he says, I love, but I'm not good at it.
Or I like that song. That's his
I like the song. I like the words in the song more than anything. Like, that to me is the part that caught me more than any other part of the song. And how that's kind of a testimony to what I was talking about, this up and coming generation. Is like, they want or need or desire that love. They just don't know how to take care of it. And it's hard for me as a person that's in psychology or working in psychology to not reflect on the fact that it's probably because they've never had an example of it. And how many of them are going out of their way to, because, for example, for me, love was what was on TV.
Yeah.
From a parental standpoint, Claire and Cliff Huxtable. From a relationship point, Dwayne and Whitley. You know that
Dwayne and Whitley was
it's hot best. You know what I mean? And I'm saying, like, to me, that was an example. Like, I didn't like the example. I didn't necessarily like what I saw between my mother and father. So I was like, well, man, I like Papa Ray and Granny.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they didn't have, I didn't see the interaction that adults have.
Yeah.
You know, holding hands and stuff like that. What I saw is they knew how to exist in the same space and take care of each other, love on each other. They had a routine down.
Yeah.
On how to handle stuff. Like Papa Ray would do stuff on the weekend, play jazz music on Sunday after church. Like it was just a routine, and they loved it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know about holding hands and
like that
stuff.
That same here. My grandfather, same thing. You just kind of, they love through the way they interact.
The way they live. They love the way
they live. Yeah,
right.
The way that they live. Just like literally, I know my grandfather would cook for my grandma, and in the morning he have tea ready for her. Like they would just routine. Like that's the way that they operate. It's kind of dope you said that, because it brought back memories of my granddad, man. And it's just like it's wild to see that
similar experience,
separate cultures. They're Haitian. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Well, you know my name.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is it's just interesting to see that it is not. It's not far removed at all.
Well, that's what I meant earlier about the genetics, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like we talk about Carl Jung, he's talking about his group.
Yeah.
To be fair, like when we look at modern science today, it's based on their community, on white people. It's not really we're human, so there's some attributes to psychology that still apply, but the cultural competency is one of the things why they wanted more people of color in psychology.
Yeah, they just started doing a study. I think it's called the Oliver study, that they're basically paying people, Black people all over the nation, to come in once a month or like once or twice a year or something, and just do like studies on blood pressure, on like they'll take your blood and do, because at one point at one point the BMI is based on the white standard,
right?
Blood pressure is based on the white standard. I remember I did a piss test in college, and the doctor at my job, I mean at the clinic, was just like, you about to have kidney failure. And I was just like, what? Like, I'm talking about, it was crazy because I was online at the time. It was wild. But she's like,
you had too much creatine in your system.
She's like, I had too much creatine in my system. And I was just like, really? I was like, okay. So, so I
well, that comes from being online.
Weeks had gone by, but that wasn't the case though.
I was just
what happened was, I went back to the doctor, and I went to a Black doctor, and it was just like, this is based on the white levels. If you look at the Black levels and the African American levels, you're right where you need to be.
Right.
I went, bro. Weeks went by. I thought I was gonna die. I was thinking
my kid is gonna fail. I'm sleeping.
I thought I'd be fucked up. But yeah, so I mean, it's just interesting to see like that the love experience is different for us. It's like, and in my opinion, and this is my opinion because I'm kind of thinking about society from the way I see it, basically what I consume. When I consume things that white people make, there's love in it. And when I consume things that Black people do, it's like there's love for it. Like people love to rap, but it's like there's not love in the rap.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and so I think that's what I'm trying to get back to. I think we got to put more love in the stuff, because
I mean, we are a process people. We tend to love the process of making music. There was a time when we used to love the lost, if I could say, dare I say that the lost art is wordsmithing. You know what I mean? Or the lost art of having a higher level. We talked about this, I think.
Yeah, we talked
recently about the higher vernacular and I hope that we have a return to that as I see more young people getting involved with social issues and knowing that they're going to have to speak. They put more effort into what they're saying, whether it's on TikToks or whether it's on Twitter feeds or whatever the medium is that they use, that they're trying to make sure that they speak in a manner that's eloquent and beyond reproach. Like, we want to be able to break stuff down as quickly as possible, but to the original point that we were talking about in terms of how the self-expression of love or expression of love, I don't know of any other words that can, as a dad, and maybe you could attest to this too, but as a dad, that can really express what emotions it pulls out of you. Like sometimes I look at my kids and I ain't gonna front. Like I just cry. I want to cry. Like I choke up.
And I'll say this. I wouldn't even say that. I think that there aren't enough words, but I will also say that when you hear it, when you hear somebody that actually is taking the time to try to put it into words, right? I was listening to Ruben Sturtis Flying Without Wings, and I was just like, that is a fucking beautiful way of putting it. You know what I'm saying? It's like some see it in the eyes of their children. You know, it's like, and so it's like, I get that, but I understand how difficult it may be, but we got to get back to trying.
Well, that's what I mean. We got to get back. So it's like, what? So Smokey tried.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he did.
He tried, and look what society did. And I'm not saying that he even saw what people wrote because it's thousands of comments, but just the people that did see the interaction, that does influence people. That does trigger some people, and I think that the true testimony to what that post did is it just really helped show how broken we still are.
Yeah.
And as a people, as men,
and how far we still have to go.
Have to go. We can love. We know how. I'm gonna tell you some studies show that we stay in our children's lives more than any other group, right? Whether we're with the mother or not. I don't think that this is a testimony that men don't care about their kids. I think this is a testimony of what's healthy to pass down to your children. That's going to help them be not just strong men, but just strong people.
Yeah.
You know, because they got to interact with more than just men. They have to interact with kids and women. And not everybody needs rah-rah. You know what I mean? There's a time and a place for it. So you have to make them well-rounded enough to be able to handle all situations effectively and come out on top. You know, a lot of situations end up violent and they didn't have to be.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to do nothing but violence. So, you know, that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just something we have to just start focusing more on, man. We got to start focusing more on it. And speaking of which, Joe said he had a question, but after Joe's question, I have one question and we can wrap, okay?
All right.
Okay, so so people are overly, well, we're talking about negative comments, negative energy, right? So one thing that pop up in my head is, what can people do to, like, because sometimes people can't see themselves doing anything negative. You know what I mean? They can't see that what they're doing is negative. So it's like, what are some things that people can do in order to realize that they're being negative and ways to reinforce that negative encounter that they're having, or the negative thoughts that they're having, all these different things? Because at the end of the day, people need to change. We need people to actually change because the culture needs to change.
No, that's true. And I mean, from my perspective, I think, because I look at myself as a lost cause, not necessarily for real, because I'm not really. No, but I want to do it for my kids. Like, that's the way I look at it. It's like, literally, I understand why I'm fucked up and why my shit was what it was. But I think that's what it is. I think we all need to just start being more introspective and actually taking a look at why our perspective of love is so fucked up. We all know it all starts with the family. That's our first teacher of love, right? Yeah. You learn love from your parents, your siblings, the interactions y'all had. And in certain aspects of love, you pair love with shouldn't even be paired. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, like, you'll see your mom get beat by your daddy, and he'll tell people he love your mama. You know what I'm saying? And so you're pairing that with love. You'll see, you'll see people talking about each other at Thanksgiving, and they'll tell you they love each other. You'll see, you'll see people have slick comments and all, you know, and they'll tell you that's love. And so I think that understanding that a lot of that shit that we thought was love is not love, and do the shit that I'm doing. Like, I'm actually learning about this shit. Like, I'm reading a book about love. I couldn't believe that I was doing this shit, but I opened it up, and so much of the stuff that she was putting out there hit me. So I just continue to read and read. Right. Not, and there, don't get me wrong, there's some of the shit that she wrote I don't really think, I don't agree with, whatever. Even when with the quote that I put out there, Mikhail made it clear he's not really speaking from our experience, and that's, you know, that's a part of learning. That's a part right? of it. Yeah, that's a part of learning. Yeah, and so I think that's what you do. You actually you have to face yourself, face that shit.
Yeah, but to Joe's point, most people don't realize that there is a problem. So I would just put it out there like this, that one of the things that I've used with my clients, and I use it with my clients because I used it with me, was just the self-reflection of, were you happy with your interactions with the people that you claim that you love? You know, you're always the common denominator in any relationship. So you have to accept, what part did you play in how that relationship existed and how it ended. And just the self-reflection part, like, damn, man, my shit always end up fucked up. Like, my shit always, all my bras be cheating on me.
Yeah.
Okay, you need to be reflective of what you're doing in the relationship.
How we getting there?
Or I'm always cheating on the chicks I'm with. Yeah, okay, then what is it about the women that you're choosing that allows you to be distracted enough? You know what I mean? Like, are you? And that's where the rubber meets the road. It's you. And if you can answer that question honestly and say, yeah, I'm not happy with my current relationships or relationships that I've had, I need to reevaluate what I think love is. Also, I want to make sure that we understand that just because you're dysfunctional does not mean that your love isn't real. I've had clients that abused their spouses, and they actually did love them. To Sam's point, they didn't know how to love. They saw that growing up. Some of them said they never wanted to do that, but then they felt they got pushed and triggered. And that's part of the mental health part of it. That's the treatment space. You could actually love somebody, but you're not loving them in the way that they want to be loved. I can promise you that. So if you do love somebody and you found yourself being the abuser of someone, and they're afraid to be in your space, but you love them, then brother or sister, I would ask that you get professional help so that you can, tune yourself in a way that matches how you feel. You make your actions match how you feel.
Yeah.
But that's what it boils down to. Because just because you're toxic doesn't mean that you don't have a heart. It doesn't mean that you don't desire or want love. It just means that you can't get past what's toxic in you to really enjoy it and to really have it for as long as you would like to have it.
Yeah.
And that's my answer to that question.
and what I'll say, since we're wrapping to wrap, I want to ask y'all, and I don't necessarily, I'm still kind of developing my definition, but define love for you.
Love for me, I wrote about this a long time ago. It was called a long-term observable veneration effect, and veneration means respect. You can't have love without respect for that person, and it needs to be observable, something that you clearly see that is happening, not just in words, in actions. And long term, I mean, love is not something that should be seen as love at first sight. To me, I'm kind of not I'm not completely in love with that idea. I think that you could definitely have chemistry with someone or click with someone. That's more about timing than anything else. But long term, to me, love is something that's lifelong. Like I have friends, I have exes that I love as people. Like if something happened to this ex of mine, I would be brokenhearted. I had a friend, one of his exes passed, and he had to deal with the fact that he was crying about it.
It's real.
It's real because
he loved her. Yeah.
That love existed. Love really doesn't go anywhere. It just is like volume switch. It either turns up or turns down, but it's still there. You did have a relationship with that person. The only way I can say that people like stop loving someone is a major traumatic event. Like that person tried to kill me and they almost did. Like you just, anytime you think of that person is more about fear than love, because that's the opposite of love. Fear is. Yeah. And that's where I would see it. But I don't know of any relationship that I could say that I said I've loved somebody and I just, if I heard something bad happen to them, that would break my heart, period. So it's levels to this shit. That's all I'm saying.
Joe, what you got? What's your definition of love?
I would say my definition of love is pure. Love is kind, like the same way like the Bible talks about how it talks about love is pure, love is
patient,
kind,
love is kind,
love is patient,
not boastful.
Yeah. Like love isn't boastful. Love is being able to like I just talk about myself, to be honest, and like, since we're all on the love journey, right? You know, with
like
me,
a song.
Like when I was down, I realized like that I was lacking a lot of love. And it wasn't love from people, it was just love for myself. Like the whole time I was talking about this, we seeing how we need to look into the mirror, like what you were saying, Sam. We need to look into the mirror and realize that we hold much more of an impact to what we desire in our lives than what we think. You know what I mean? So it's like, had to look into the mirror and really say like, hey, if you're gonna be here on this earth, then you gotta equip yourself with the things that you need in order to carry over for the rest of your life, you know, because we're gonna die. So you need love in your life. So I had to teach myself, like, through other people who I viewed love themselves. You know, you take little parts from everything, books, Sam that's reading, or little quotes that you could see that empowers you to actually feel a certain way where you feel like you could love yourself a little deeper. So it's like I really started consuming myself with a lot of positivity. I rarely listen to music, and if I'm listening to music, it got to talk about love. I need to hear love in there. You know, I love you, baby. I love something. Hey, I need love in there because it's like there's a lack of love in this world. So it's like we just have to be patient, and we have to astral project and put ourselves in other people's shoes. That's another big definition. I feel like we should be able to, that can increase your love, to astral project, put yourself in someone else's shoes and understand the reason why they're making the decisions that they're making. Because like, just thinking about those comments that the people put under the picture, the number one thing you see is how tough people are on themselves, to be honest.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're tough as hell on themselves.
That's what I was talking about. It's a reflection of them.
Yeah, it's a reflection.
Yes. So it's like, dang, you don't want no hug? You know what I mean? Like,
man, fuck your hug.
No, they need. No, it's not that they don't want a hug. It's not that they don't want a hug. They need a hug.
They need one,
but they don't know
it.
You can see it. You can see it in the post.
Yeah.
Right? They ain't comfortable taking it though.
Bruh, like, they need it, man. Like people need to take care of themselves a little bit better, not just with materialism, because the materialism, we know that stuff don't hug back. You know what I mean? But we need to take care of ourselves. It does
fit me nice.
Hey. No, but people need to take themselves a little. They need to be more kind to themselves.
Yeah,
you know,
they do need to take it serious.
Because the kind you are to yourself, you're gonna be kind to other people. So it's like, what's on the inside is gonna show on the outside to other people. So what about you, Sam?
I don't really have a definition for love outside of. I mean, and right now I'm actually taking it really seriously because I want to define it for what it's going to be for my household. So, but what I will say is, and the reason being is because I'm reading the book, and the book is like telling you, like, look, if you don't define it for who you're with, the household that you're in, then you can't measure it, right? There's not a way of like putting I know that I love this person, right? And or you can't really put it into your decision making. And so the way I look at it is, you know, I want to encourage the person to be the best version of themselves. I want to encourage myself to be the best version of myself. And that doesn't always mean pushing myself or all of it. It just means caring for myself, making sure that the decisions I make are are decisions that can and will potentially, have some positive impacts on my life. And I think, and on the lives of the people that I love. So it's like, literally, that's the way I look at it. It's like, if I say I love my wife, does this decision help my wife? If I say I love my kids or my family, does this decision actually help them and will help them progress physically, spiritually, and emotionally as well? Mm-hmm. And so I think that's literally the way I want to look at it. And to wrap, I want to give you guys the definition of love that this book is kind of based. They basically implying what they feel the definition of love is, and they kind of keep coming back to it, so that way you can see how the definition and the action and the way you interact behind it is married together. So the definition that they're using in the book is, it is the extent of oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another spiritual growth. Love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both in intention and in action. So, basically, it's a part of your intent and in your action. And I think that when you make your decisions, if you're doing them in love, it should be able to link to whatever your definition of love may be for yourself, for the person that you're with, for the people you're around. And I think that that's ultimately what we need more of in this world, man. And so if you guys like this conversation, I've loved this conversation, by the way. I'm glad I didn't tell y'all what we were talking about before we started, because I loved it, all of the input that we've had.
Good topic.
And it's
good topic.
Great topic. If you like what you guys are hearing, you already know, like, share, subscribe, but really share. And, let people know, you like this podcast. You guys have been doing really good. I mean, we've been doing really good with the numbers, and I appreciate y'all for listening. I know y'all been hounding us about episodes, but we want to make sure we're doing things right. So we just, we taking a little time. We dropped 44 episodes last year. So, it's only 3 weeks in the year?
52 weeks.
52 weeks.
Yeah, give me that extra week.
Yeah. 52 weeks in a year, and we dropped 44 episodes. So, we just trying to make sure we get it right. And once again, now, don't forget, hit the link, support our pages. We also have a email link where you guys can subscribe to, newsletters and things that we're going to be putting out in the future. So
that's right.
Just go ahead and put your email in, and we'll communicate. We promise we won't spam you up. It's not that kind of party.
It's not that kind of party.
But we do have. Yeah, but we do have some other things that we wanted to do to kind of help you guys grow. Even now, I'm reading the book. Hell, if y'all want to read books, we can read books, whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be part of the newsletter. We had a book club stuff going on.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of other things that we want to, do. So just, tap in, man. Look, and, I'm Sam Duke. I'm good, man.
Hey, I'm Tel McKell. I'm good.
My name is Joe Duke, and God is love. Remember that. God is love.
Man, there you go.
You say you got. You say
love
you
is
got.
a house. He got the key.
Hey,
love yourself. God is love.
That's right.
God is love.
All right, and that just like that, we out, man. Thank y'all. Peace.
Peace out.